If you're struggling to set key performance indicators that hold people accountable and move the organization forward, then keep watching. Most businesses struggle to choose the right KPIs that communicate the strategy of the business and also create the right level of focus and engagement to keep the staff motivated to perform. You might have access to hundreds of KPIs, all relevant, and you know what you're looking for, but is it the right KPI? Let's say you've got hundreds of KPIs available to you. How do you know which one is the right one? And are you measuring people's performance on the right things? This is a question that you could be asking yourself. Another issue you might be having is that you feel that the KPIs you have in the performance framework aren't driving the business objectives. So you could feel like your KPIs are disconnected from the organization, and if your people achieve them or don't, you're not really sure if it's driving the performance of the company. So I always ask the question, what point is that? Why go to all this trouble and you're not even sure if it's driving the performance of the business? So their great performance, your people's great performance that is, should have a direct impact on the business. My client asked the same question a few years ago about their performance. After they realized their performance management system was simply a tick box exercise that added zero value. Everyone hated it, including the management, and the KPIs they had were subjective, they were vague, many of them were not measurable, they were not directly linked to any business strategy or goals, and in many cases unrelated to what was happening on the ground. They were set after the year had started in many cases, and similar roles were being measured with different KPIs and with inconsistent targets. So staff were only measured once a year and were not being given credit for all the good work they'd done throughout the year. Managers typically only remember the last 4 or 5 weeks before the appraisals are done. So staff were only measured once a year and were not getting rewarded for their good work. They had no standards for their KPIs, and the targets were not calibrated correctly, and so the KPIs became meaningless. Eventually the leadership team said, let's either fix it or ditch it. They recognized the need to get a KPI professional like myself who could do it quickly and also do it right at the same time. So to cut a long story short, we set up scorecards with carefully considered KPIs and targets for each role. We built templates around those roles and built systems and processes to manage it for over 800 people. Each person was given between 6 to 10 KPIs. At the end of the year, the average achievement across all 5,600 KPIs was 9% higher than the targets, the satisfactory targets that had been set. And that looked quite good, but the incredible thing was when they looked at their financial performance, they had also exceeded their budget by 9%. So the client was convinced that it wasn't just coincidence, but rather the result of one, engaging the staff with setting goals, creating a robust and fair framework to manage performance, choosing the right KPIs for the right roles, calibrating the targets more scientifically than what they'd done before, having standards and visibility. Visibility is a huge thing. If people can't see how things are being measured, it creates a lot of noise and a lot of uncertainty. They also held everyone accountable to what had been agreed up front, including the executive team. So if you want to do this for your company, this is a good way to start, and this is what we're suggesting here today. So I will give the 4 steps that we use to help you build a performance culture. These steps are just the foundation, and you will need much more information than what I can provide in this video. However, I do have these 4 steps, which I'm going to explain as we go. So step 1. At the start, we provide training to get everyone on the same page, covering the basics of performance and how value is actually created. You know, you find that many people have never been trained in how to perform in their job. They just know the technical aspects of their job, but they're not sure on how to perform. So we teach them the language of performance and how value is created. That's step number 1. Step number 2, we refocus the staff's attention to the goals, the initiatives, and the processes of the organization. The goals, the initiatives, and the processes of the organization. This step empowers staff and creates the right level of buy-in. If you just try and cascade goals, or you allow people to make up KPIs as they go, you lose the momentum. So we really refocus on the goals, the initiatives, and the processes of the organization. Step 3, after listening to what work needs to get done for that team or department or that individual, we co-create key performance indicators that make sense for that role and that create value for that role. Step 4, we build a user-friendly performance scorecard that creates visibility and focus and engagement for the owners of those scorecards, with the view to repeating good performance and correcting underperformance on a continuous basis. So here are 3 options. Option number 1, you can carry on trying without any help. Just remember, performance management, as I'm sure you are aware, is something that is extremely difficult and complicated and overwhelming. It's a specialized skill in the HR toolkit, and if you don't have the knowledge or the skill and you attempt to create performance scorecards and frameworks, it could easily cost you 10 to 20 times more in lost productivity with every bad scorecard you make. So you've got to make sure that you know what you're doing before you press forward. Number 2, you could attend a workshop that gives skill transfer that allows you to take this knowledge and apply it in your business. This is perfect if you're more a DIY or do-it-yourself type of organization and you want to take on those skills and do it yourself. So if you like doing things yourself and have the time, take this approach. It's seriously a good skill to have, and if you're working in the HR department or any other department, it's a great skill to have. Option number 3, get a consultant in who can help you to do this quickly and at the right level of quality. We've done this hundreds of times with businesses of all shapes and sizes around the world. So here's what you can do next. We've created some bundles below. If you would like a professional to come and build scorecards, it can be one scorecard or it could be a whole collection of scorecards. Have a look at the bundles below. We've priced them in different ways, and you can choose a bundle and we can get started almost immediately. Otherwise, if you're more interested in the DIY approach, then have a look at one of our training options. There's a button below that will refer to one of our training courses, and we'll see you in that training course if you choose that option.